All right, we are live on Facebook in the classroom. 10,000 live stream. How's it going, team?
Awesome.
How you guys? Great. Thanks.
Good, man. Good to see you guys. It's been a little
Yeah,
while
good to
since
have you
I've
with
been
us
able to be
today.
with you here.
Yeah, I said good to have you with us today.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. So today we're running through this buyer presentation. Right, guys?
Yep.
Right.
And we were just kind of chatting, and it's funny because buyer presentations happen far fewer than like a listing presentation, right? Where those are like standard, those are happening nearly every single time. But a buyer presentation is a little bit less common, but it's still good to be able to have this available and understand the flow of the transaction, the flow of this buyer's experience. And so this book really walks your buyer from start to finish on what to expect. So let me pull it up here, Tracy and Paul.
Yeah.
Can I make a few comments about that?
Please.
You know, one of the things that I've heard through my years of experience here is a buyer will say, I didn't know that. No one told me that. There's so many times where the buyer probably needs more help originally than a seller does, because the seller knows you're going to list the house, it's going to go online, it's going to put a sign in the yard, people are going to come by. But buyers don't have a clue on what really is going to happen. Like when someone says, well, I have cash. Okay, do you have cash to close the house tomorrow? Well, no, I got to sell my house, I got to take it out of my 401k, I have all these things to do.
Yeah, I'll be a cash buyer once I sell my house.
Yeah.
Right. It's like that. It's not cash. And
No.
And I'll tell you guys out there, I'm one of the newer persons on the Deal Doctor. And I had 2 cases now where someone said this cash wasn't cash.
Yeah.
Bring in the Uncle Benny's to close on this house.
We've seen this a few times.
That's what it is.
We've seen it a few times. And you have to ask a couple of questions. I think that you're right, Paul. You do have to ask that question because someone might own their house free and clear. So they assume that they're not going to have a mortgage on the next one.
Right.
So they say, yeah, I'm a cash buyer, but you're right. They're only a cash buyer when you sell this. So not only are you not a cash buyer right now, you will be, but you're actually a contingent buyer.
You're right. Right. And I'm getting really off track of what we're talking about, but I think when you said something about, we don't use the buyer books that much, and it's true, but I think they need it more than anything of the transaction because they don't know what's going to happen. That's that's been an experience. That's all.
All right, should we pull it up?
Yep, let's do it.
Pull this thing up. All right, Tracy, and I'm gonna share this, and you just tell me when you want me to flip the screen.
Well, I think that's a really nice, good looking house, but I think
that.
The grass is
charmer that one is.
Page 2.
Well, you're ready to go above. You're gonna have to go above asking price on this one, Tracy.
Absolutely. Listen, with that front yard and that curb appeal, I'm telling you.
Yep. So we flip into page 1. Do you look at this page here, Tracy, when you're running through people through this?
You know what? I was talking with Quentin about it today. It's always interesting for me to run things by some people on my team sometimes. And he was saying to me, I don't ever use that page. I don't ever talk about stats. But you know what? It depends on where you're at. So me over in Southeast Michigan, like a lot of people haven't heard of 5-star. And I'll say that to them because usually I didn't get a seat at the table because I work at 5-star. I usually get a seat at the table because someone that knew me, right? But I want to tell them, hey, let me tell you about this great brand that I represent. And so I'll share this stat with them to let them know that, you know what, we're not small potatoes. You might not have heard of us, but let me just give you some fun facts about us. So I think it's a great tool.
Especially if you're competing. And again, I believe that largely with like 97% of the time, the public is picking you based upon a referral, based upon what they know about you, based upon who all these types of things but it's really Tracy Johnson or Paul Brooks they're choosing. But every once in a while, especially if you're in a market where there's some relocations going on and they don't really know any agents from Adam, and so they just have their company pick 2 or 3 agents for them to go meet. This might actually matter a little bit in that scenario. And it does say, hey, look, you might not have heard of us because we're not a national brand, but look how we stack up. So something to have in your back pocket.
Yeah. Absolutely.
One of the things that I like to do when I pull out a brochure like this or a flip thing or anything that looks like it's going to be painstaking, I tell the
Mhm.
people up front, I just want to run through a couple of these pages just to kind of show what we have to offer and what I can do. Because I don't want them to like roll their eyes and go, oh my God, I'm gonna have to go through this whole book.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
kind of say
yeah,
that up front, just to kind of give them a warning, like, I'm just gonna flip through this thing and just kind of explain what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do it, what the company's about, and that's it. And I think it's important.
yeah. Some people offer it up as like nighttime reading. If you want to like lull
Right.
yourself to sleep, this is a great book to flip through. It'll just lull
Right.
you to sleep. All right.
Yeah.
So page 2. This is the opening scene here. So when we go to the next page here, hold on. Flip. Here we go. Where are you? Why can't I change the screens, Tracy? Oh, there we go. All right.
Yeah, this one really starts off with what Paul was saying. How do you direct the conversation about starting the process? And a big piece of it is finding an agent. Some people come to you and they've already got a pre-approval. That definitely happens. The 1 and 2 can be in reverse order. But I would just say, from my personal opinion, is if you haven't connected yourself to a good lender, talk to some agents in 5-Star Connect, find out who they use, who they like, because oftentimes your clients are going to be looking to you as their professional. So if they've got connected to you, but they haven't got connected to a lender, you're going to need to have a list of 3. That's what I always say. Here's a list of 3. And sometimes I'll say, this person's a broker, this person's with a big bank. I'll give them some choices. And then I'll tell them, my thinking behind each person. Sometimes it's just like, hey, let me tell you about my lender, Trevor. He's fast, he's easy, he's efficient, and you'll never need to meet him if you don't want to. But you know what? Then there's Brenda. Brenda wants to woo you. She's going to come in. She's going to want you to sit down in front of her. She's going to want to meet you, bring her all your documents. What kind of person are you? Are you the guy that's like, hey, I'll scan and fax it, I'll scan and email it, or I want to sit down, I want to look the person in the eye. So have some choices for people and know something about them, interview them, call them, talk to people.
Yep.
It's,
Yep.
when I bought my boat, it was the same thing. It's very similar, but it's like, where can I get a loan at to get the boat? Because it's not every place has a boat loan. Who's going to survey my boat, which is an appraiser and inspector both. And it's those kind of things. And I want to know these things. And he's a professional. I sell houses, but I don't sell boats. And so I go in there just kind of being new too, not knowing what to expect other than a couple basic things. And he kind of walks me through it. So I think we got to not assume that they know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that you're right. I mean, most people are going to do this once every, 9 years?
I think it's 9 years. It was 7, but I think it's 9
Yep.
now. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think it's important to get connected to a lender. And I never try to pressure people to come to my lender, but I'll tell them that these are people that I work with regularly and that we work in concert with one another. And we just have a system. And, we've all worked with lenders that do a good job that we've never worked with before. And then there's the others who you just go, oh no, never again, So I think, again, they're looking to you to be an advice giver. So, do a little homework.
And when you're dealing with multiple offers in today's market, the lender matters. I mean, if I see XYZ lender versus ABC, I'm going to go with this lender because I know the company or that person will get the job done. He's not just going to blow smoke in the sense of, well, you can get it, your credit's not really that bad. But no, I want a guy that when I get a pre-approval, that they've really done the work and that I can trust that person. And I think, like you said, Tracy, 2 or 3 people that you really know, trust, and just like us wanting to be their customer, they were their customer.
Yep.
So this page, some of this stuff is kind of fluffy, right? This just kind of says this kind of page just kind of talks about just ways for us to set expectations for each other. Where are we looking? What are we interested in? Discussing finances, establishing timeline, identifying your needs versus wants. So, some of this stuff is really about just helping them. Okay, got it. We're just walking through this process. So Tracy, when you see this page, what do you take away from this page?
Well, the one thing I take away, did you say Tracy? I'm sorry. I didn't know if you said, Tracy, what's your takeaway? I didn't know if I jumped in.
That's what I said, yeah.
Okay. But the one thing that I take away from this page is set up an expectation, okay? Understand that if you're going to be listing someone's house, and they're going to be becoming a buyer with you, that if we don't even have our house listed, we don't want to go out and start looking at houses together, because clearly what we know about the market is the houses that are on the market today are not going to be on the market when we sell your house and you become a buyer. So just kind of establish kind of the rhythm, how things will work when they become a buyer, and make sure that, you know, they have an idea. You know, I love the people that are like, we can live anywhere. Well, how about you start spending the next 3 Saturdays driving around and kind of bringing everywhere into like 2 counties, maybe even, I don't know, but I just think that's important.
One of the things that I look at this page is kind of funny is buyers are liars. Okay. So you have to suggest things when the buyer gets frustrated, they want to buy a house on the south side of town and they end up buying a condo on the north side of town. And so I think it's important that if someone's getting a little frustrated with what they're looking at or wanting to buy, that you suggest things. Well, have you ever thought of this? Have you ever thought of that? And I get school districts and stuff like that will be very, very important, and that's different. But I think there's times in this where you have to suggest things out of the box. Say, I know this is not what you're thinking about, but what about this? Can you go a little higher in price? Do you want to go less in price? And just be their friend. But I think suggesting things. I have had more people, like I said, buy the house on the south, the condo. It's crazy. Buyers are liars, and they don't know that they're not liars. They just don't know. And I think it's our job to help them direct and suggest things.
Okay, I like it, Paul.
Work
That's good
smarter,
advice.
not harder. I mean, that's what it says. And I would probably say that real quick. And that's all I would say on this page. You know,
Yep.
you might change your needs. It's going to depend. When you learn the market, you'll know what you want. That's why when you come to a house and see it, I don't sell the house. They know. They've been educated. They see the prices. They see the size. They see the condition. They know.
Yeah, I think that's actually good advice. So I would agree with this, where, you know, one thing you have to make very clear to your buyers is that if you don't tell me that things change, if you don't tell me that your price range is increased or that you might be willing to do X, Y, and Z, then I don't know unless you talk to me and you tell me. So it's also a really important reminder for the realtor to ask those questions throughout the process, because sometimes, you know, you start with a timeline, right? You establish a timeline, and then guess what? Something happens, or they're watching TV, and all of a sudden the ad comes on TV, or they see a house they really love on Zillow, because they're definitely looking at Zillow, and all of a sudden their timeline just increased by 5 months. And if you're not going to be readily available and have the wherewithal to say, hey, look, I need to stay in, like, let's say it's a longer timeline. Let's say these people are meeting with you in December, Tracy, because they want to buy in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that timeline can get moved up from spring to January 15 if the right house pops up.
Yep.
So you've got to make sure that you're staying in connection. You're staying, hey, this timeline is flexible, and you have to, as the professional here, have to stay connected to this buyer.
One of the things with that screen too is, and this is more of when you're like working with people, and I've had this a million times where I have 4 or 5 homes set up a show, and we're going out looking, and every house we go to, oh, we really like this one, or we really like this one. What's next? We really like this one. We really like this one. What's the next one we're going to? I think it's very important, and this has been my thing when I was selling new houses, because we could change things, but ask the question of, what don't you like about this place? You said you love this place. What don't you like? Is it the paint? Is it the cabinets? Is it this, that, or the other thing? And then you start to learn more about that person and can maybe handle those objections. There is a reason why they say they like it, but what's next? And that has been very helpful for me, of narrowing down and making them think in a different way about a property. So ask that question. You'll be surprised what you hear after they just said they loved it. Then they'll start talking when you say, what don't you like about it?
Good advice. All right, shall we move on to the next slide?
Please.
All right, so imagine I'm going, but Tracy, do I really need to work with you? I don't get it. Why would I work with you? I mean, I can already get on Zillow. I can click the button. I can get showings set up. I can do all this without you, Tracy.
Relationships. You want to build a relationship with one single person. In fact, in Michigan, we have something called buyer's agency, and you can only have one buyer's agency agreement with one agent. And so through this process, I think it's important to develop a relationship with an agent because they're going to become your pro. And that's what we hope for all of our agents here at 5-Star. That's the reason we've developed the 10,000, so that we all commit to the hours that we need in becoming a real estate pro. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to set up searches for you. We're going to do the basic things. And a lot of times, like Paul said, they can do these things on Zillow themselves. And in fact, sometimes they're going to find those houses before you do, right? Just because we're not just watching just this area in this neighborhood, in this school district, we're looking at a lot of different things. I always copy myself on the searches that go to my clients, so I see things in live time the way they do, but sometimes they still get to it before me. But we're going to negotiate on their behalf. We write real estate contracts all the time. And maybe you don't as the new to industry, but guess what? You're working with a group of people here at 5-Star, your broker support team, who do write offers, who do know how to put you in the best position to become the winning offer. And in this point in history, it's really competitive. So you're going to want to be working together with us so that we can help you win. The other thing is, I love this part. This is like my favorite part about working with buyers, especially ones who have struggled. But when you've walked through enough houses with people, you pay attention to body language, you hear what they're saying. But when the magic happens, right, that's when they kind of look at each other and you just know like something happened when they walked through the front door of this house. And then you begin to pay attention to what emotionally is happening when they fall in love with the house finally.
I'm muted. Okay. All right, let's keep it moving here. So on to the next page. What do we got here? I've got so many things open. Mortgage loans. This is a good one. This kind of goes to what you were saying earlier, Paul, about how, are you really cash? Are you really this? Are you really that? We've seen it right now where agents are writing conventional. You're not going to believe this. These agents are writing conventional, knowing full well their client is FHA because they think it'll look better if they write conventional. And I'm like, but they're not conventional? No. So they're like, well, I just knew that if we wrote FHA, we wouldn't get our offer accepted. And then sure enough, a week later, it's like, well, this is actually an FHA buyer. We have seen this. I mean, I want to say I've had this come across our desk at least 5 or 6 times in the past few months.
Yeah.
Where all of a sudden, and guess what you do now? You've already lost your buyers because they've gone on to try and do other things. They're disappointed. They're not wanting to pay top dollar now because they got beat by an offer that really wasn't bona fide. And so we're seeing these sellers are now just sort of like working through these changed financing situations. But anyways, let's go back to the mortgages here. How do you guys run through this page?
I think it starts with meeting with that lender, number one, first, really having a good understanding of what these things are, so that when your buyer comes to you and say, I'm conventional, well, it's what kind of conventional? Like there's a lot of different conventional loans. The type of how much money you're putting down is a piece of it. And the same with, we don't see many ARM loans anymore. We don't see many DPA, down payment assistance loans anymore. That would be like MISHDA. MISHDA is a program through the state of Michigan that offers down payment assistance. So basically there's like another person that comes into the loan. They have a placeholder because they bring some of the money to the closing table to help the buyer purchase the home. It may still be a conventional product, but somebody else comes in and brings some of the money and holds their place in line, so that if the house sells in a certain amount of years, they get their money back, or you get to keep it if you stay in the house long enough. But this is where work with a lender. They're your pro. You'll become a pro and you'll be able to have the language that we have today once you've done it enough. So talk to people, talk shop, read on these things.
Paul, how about you?
It's back to the relationships like we kind of talked about earlier about finding that right person to work with, because I think that's the biggest thing when it comes to the mortgage type of loans that you qualify for certain things. And so this is less directed by us as it is by your own finances and stuff. But back in the day, we never got pre-approval letters. We sent someone to the bank and they said, this is what I meant, this is what, they might have checked their credit report. But it is so much more detailed today than it was back then. And a lot of these loans went through when they kind of did the basic thing, but today this isn't mandatory. You have to have it. And I think this is kind of picking the right person for this type of thing, because your qualifications are going to put you in one of these categories. So
Yeah,
I'm very quick on a page like this, and this says, you know, here's my people, or do you know someone?
this is where Paul, I might sit there and say, hey, while we're talking about what these loans are, you may already know which category you fall into, but now we should probably discuss like the importance of deciding who's going to help you with these loans, right? Like, are you going to go with a Quicken Loans? Are you going to go with your local credit union? Are you going to go with a local mortgage broker that maybe you've never heard of before, but it's really well respected in the marketplace? And that's where these conversations can come in.
One of the things I say here to try avoid problems is if they say they have somebody, and I'm like rolling my eyes, I will say, do you mind if I have one of my resources call you and go through it? It's free. I mean, there's no charge in this, but would you be willing to have this person call you and go through the process with you? And typically I can get them switched without saying that their loan officer is not good. And it's kind of the way to kind of avoid that, because again, you have 5 offers in front, the price, the terms, the loan officer, I will say the real estate agent is all part of the process of getting this thing accepted. And so that's kind of what I do with this kind of thing is if they're going to ABC Mortgage, I'm like, oh God, no. You know, that's where I really try and direct, and it's up to them. I don't, do I direct? Yes, I'm going to say I'm directing. And it's
at
their own
least
good.
a conversation to say, hey, maybe we can get a couple second opinions here.
Exactly.
You have to self-advocate a little bit. And just like if you're going to go get a medical diagnosis and you get a scary one, you may want to go get a couple of opinions. I agree with you.
I mean, how many times do you get a call from the listing agent when you're on the buy side and she or he says, hey, what do you know about this lender? Is this somebody you work with? It's important to the listing agent. They're looking at paper. That's all they're looking at, a bunch of paper. So they're looking for us to be communicative. Like I say, the relationship starts before you walk through the door. It's when you make a showing appointment. So be communicative. Call the listing agent, tell them, hey, you know what? Let me tell you about my buyer, and let me tell you about the lender they chose. This is a lender that I've been working with, blah, blah, blah. Or this is their local lender. It's not someone I use, but you know what? It's a name I know and recognize. I felt very comfortable. If it's not my pro, so use these things to your advantage to win.
For sure.
All right, this one just kind of runs through how a loan process works. I think that where I would use this page is I would say, hey, look, your pre-approved, which is wonderful, right? This is great. We can go in now confidently, write offers. We know we got this thing. We know we can go through here and we can get this thing done. The biggest thing for me is I'm saying, do not do anything with credit cards. Do not go get a car loan. Don't do anything unless you talk to your lender first. You must communicate with your lender like they are you're in a marriage with this person. Stay very close to this person, because I've seen loans get killed over stupid things like, oh, well, I didn't realize that by getting a new credit card and then maxing it out, this is going to impact my buying power, or buying a new car, or whatever it might be. The other thing that I explain is that this appraisal piece, this thing is going to impact your ability to actually purchase the home that you want or not, right? If this thing appraises low, all that kind of stuff. But go ahead, Paul.
This is the worst time of season, because you're going to go shopping and everyone's going to offer you a discounted price if you sign up for a credit card and stuff. And that could be the kiss of death, because they are looking at, this is what I say, and this is probably inappropriate, but this is what I say to people depending on who they are and how I know them. I say to them, until they know your underwear size, they haven't got enough documents, because that's what they want, everything. And then on top of everything, they want more. And so I joke with them, ha, ha, ha. And I'm just saying, they're going to ask you some really crazy stuff that you think, why does this matter? And it
Mhm.
just does as part of the financing part of this loan. So I just kind of
Mhm.
joke around with them and
Yeah.
say stuff like that. And so now I've set the expectation is they're gonna keep asking for documentation, overtime, all this stuff that you're like, I'm sick of, they already asked me for my pay stubs and now they want more. Yep. They're gonna want more.
And the other thing too is that once they begin the loan process and they enter your social security number into their system, goes to many lenders, not all. They all subscribe to a credit monitoring service. So the moment your your social security number gets dinged for a new credit card, I had a deal almost fall apart because somebody went and bought all new furniture at Pottery Barn. But they weren't going to take delivery of it until after it closed, but it didn't matter. They had applied for the credit. It was a pause on there. It was a big disaster. So they know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
The other thing on here is, repeating this, collecting personal documents.
Yep.
They have to be timely. Don't snooze on this stuff. I know it's frustrating to have to pull all your months, your bank account for the past 2 months to get a copy of your tax documents. All these things are going to be frustrating, but you've got to move quickly and efficiently because this can hold this up. And if they find out that you're not doing this in a timely fashion, you could be the reason that this thing gets terminated and you could lose your EMD.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, making an offer. Well, we've kind of already discussed this probably by now.
Yeah.
For some of the processes, but there we go. Home inspection.
Yeah. This is a
Alright.
fun one. This is a fun
Yep.
one.
Yep.
You know, and it's one of the questions that it's a great one to ask on the front end too. Just, hey, this is one of the things that's going to happen once we get an accepted offer. Do you have a home inspector? Does your family, is somebody a builder? Is it, you know, I can make recommendations of some people that I know, like, and trust. But if you have somebody, a pro in your sphere, please feel free to call them. These are the types of inspections that we'll do. Depending on the type of loan, there are different types of inspections, but nonetheless, if it's a conventional product, it's just a typical home loan. If it's a VA, then we certainly know you need to have a pest inspection. A pest inspection has to be paid for by the seller. The buyer can pay for it up front, but it has to be credited to the buyer on the closing statement. Yeah, so that's kind of it. I mean, it's also your opportunity to back out of a house if your purchase agreement has been written that way. So when we do the home inspection, we're going to watch the timelines, right? Because I have to be walking around with your EMD on my forehead. Where I go, it goes. My job is to protect that.
Okay. Anything to add on this page, Paul?
Go ahead, Paul, if you want to go ahead.
One thing I explain to buyers right now is that this home inspection is going to be terrifying. Okay.
Right.
We could be inspecting a brand new house and you're like, how is this thing standing? This thing should be
75 pages.
Yeah, this thing's got to be condemned, man.
Right.
This is a tear down. This 2019 home is a tear down. And also, so I would say that 1, know that this is going to be terrifying. 2, that know that many of the things you're going to find in this home are not going to be to code. That's because codes change. And what was code in 1985 is different than what's code in 2020. It doesn't mean your house is going to burn down. It just means that things have changed and shifted over time. And so, and also when something is found in a home, it is not just it's basically just because these things are being uncovered in the home does not mean the seller has to do anything. This isn't a honey-do list for the sellers.
Yes.
Right? This is not so they have to go ahead and repair that, this and that and this and that. Or people will say, hey, there's smoke detectors missing in the house. Shouldn't the sellers have to legally put those in? Or hey, a railing's missing. Shouldn't the seller legally have to put a railing in? Aren't they required to do that? Here's the answer. They are not required to do anything. The seller can unless we're dealing with certain situations, but even still, let's say an FHA repair comes back and says that you must put a hand railing in this house before you can sell, and that's an FHA required repair, that you cannot sell this home until that railing is installed. It's still not something the seller has to do. They can say no, and then you have to do it as a buyer. It's a negotiation. So these inspections are not forcing anyone to do anything. What it's doing is it's uncovering information. Now everybody's aware of what's going on here. And now it's up to buyer and seller to determine via negotiations what happens next.
I love
I
what you
think
said. I think my takeaway, Paul, is two-part. Number one, what you said about terrifying. I
Yep.
wish I had said that because it's so true that you said it's terrifying. And the second thing is that the seller's not required to make those repairs because the inspector will say, well, this has to be changed and there should be GFIs here. And I can put my hand between the railings and this is not up to code. And then buyers freak out. They freak out. So just know that things change over time and you know, this is just, I always say you're paid for honey-do list.
Yep. Yep. All right. Next page. All right. So this one I think is important because I think that the biggest thing, and this is one thing that Greg always taught me when I was a young realtor in 2006. He said, if your clients are not informed and your clients have to call you to ask you, so what happens now? What happens next? You have missed an opportunity to be the leader in that relationship, in that transaction. You've missed an opportunity to deliver awesome customer service. So you should be thinking that, okay, our offer is accepted. Your next conversation is, here's what the next few weeks are going to look like. And you should run through everything that's going to happen. And this is what this page is really good at. Runs you through all of what's going to happen between now and your closing. So I think that, again, if we believe that buyers don't do this a lot, they don't know the process like we might know the process. It's not like it's for us, it just might seem like the back of our hand, what happens now, what happens next, but that's not the case for buyers all the time.
One of the things I think about these books and going through this stuff is buyer or seller is the name of the game, and we've talked about this a million times, referrals. You want to explain this stuff so they think you are doing a great job that the other agent is not doing. And to me, it doesn't take much to be ahead of the pack with something like this. These books are beautiful and they just go through everything. So it's so simple. But if you just run through this stuff, you are going to be ahead of the next real estate agent that says nothing. And that's why I think this stuff is important. I want to get referrals from these people. When someone starts to question me of whatever I'm doing, I'm like, here's the thing. I want this to go so smoothly that you tell all your friends and family, and I tell them that. And so this is just one more step of the process to me that they are not going to get this from any other agent. Few. I mean, hope people are using this stuff because it's powerful. It's about future relationships. It's just like Tracy says it a million times, you know, you got to trust and like the person and all that stuff. That's how you develop this trust, is because you're the professional and you know what's going on.
You know what? And on this point here, if you are watching, you do not have checklists that we have checklists available that Kim and people at Tracy's created. We have checklists available that will keep you on track. So this is what I used to do when I was brand new realtor. This is before .loop. This is before everything out there. Nothing was digital. Everything was on paper. So I would have a manila envelope. And that manila envelope, I'd write your name on it if you were my buyer. And it'd sit right here on my desk. And I would start putting like houses we show. I'd like build this folder of things we've done together. And then what I do is I immediately would print out my buyer checklist. Click. I've got buyer name, spouse name, email addresses, phone numbers, all of it right there. Again, remember, this is old school, but this still works. And I would have like, you know, price range, lender name, you know, all the type of things, everything you know for that transaction that I'm starting with you. And then what I would do is I have my checklist and it starts like, okay, once offer is written, I've got a whole bunch of checklists in there that I have to do. And so you can use that. If you get these checklists, use these checklists for every buyer you have. Stick them on your wall, stick them on your mirror, make them digital. If you're great at digital stuff, fine, awesome. But that'll help you do all these things right here. And you will not forget to keep your client informed. If you have this beautiful checklist that you live and die by on every transaction, you will deliver awesome experience for those people. But if you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants, and then it's going to be very uncomfortable and you're going to look very scattered. So I would highly recommend against that. So raise your hand if you want checklists. We can get those to you. Oh, speaking of checklists, here's a little bit of a moving checklist. Do either of you have your own moving checklist that you mail out after a transaction or during a transaction where you say, hey, buyer, here's the things to get ready for. Here's the things to do. Here's all this kind of stuff.
I will say for me, I don't. I'm bad at this. I think it's a great idea. I think it's totally cool. One of the things that I've thought of doing, I haven't, is having boxes and stuff with my name on them. And I give them a package of boxes with Paul Brooks 5-star real estate on it. I thought of it a million times. I've not done it. But this is it just, again, it sets you apart from the next agent. That's what we're trying to do, is how can I be the person that they go, you got to work with this person.
I do send out a moving checklist. It's probably not like change your, register to vote and update your driver's license, but it has some basic things like, hey, you're moving to a new community. A title company I used one time had them broke out by county. So we took them, rewrote them. And so if they're moving to Oakland County, they get a checklist for Oakland County, which includes all the utility information, water, local fire department number, local hospital number, some basic stuff that says, hey, you're new. Here's some things you might like to have.
Cool. Market stats. Again, this is kind of the end of the book. But if you're in a position where, and these are a little outdated right now, but if someone's like, well, really, like, how do I know that you have, like, I can tell you right now, I have been at a meeting, and it's typically someone who's relocating, typically someone who's not from the area who might challenge me in this way. But they say, so have you sold real estate in our area? And like, look at this little colored map here. That map shows you all of the areas where we sell real estate, and you'll see the hot spots where we sell more real estate, where it gets darker. But I mean, you can see that we're selling real estate almost on probably 60% of the state of Michigan right now. So yeah, and we've done $1.8 billion in sales volume last year. So these are things, if you need it, great. If you don't, skip right past it. But if you're feeling like someone's just not so sure because they kind of want like a balloon floating through their lawn or something like this, use it. These are good stats if you need them.
To me, this is a 15-second page, but I think it does show the size of the company, and that we have now 650 agents. And to me, that's powerful. And I think it's something to be just said quickly. You don't have to spend time on it, but it's to say that, we're in, like you said, a large part of Michigan and where we're selling now. But to me, it just kind of shows the power. I want to know the company I'm working for and use it to help. They are using us. I get that. The company, just to drop that line for the power that we have in the support staff and the marketing department. When someone says, what are you going to do for me? I say, we have 6 people in our marketing department alone. There's not many companies that have that. And so I just drop those little anecdotes or whatever. And hopefully they think of all these little things that add up to, this is why I want to use you. One thing that I want to say about, since we're talking to buyers and we're over time, I get it, is that when I meet someone for the first time at a house, I will bring the buyer agency agreement and give that to them and say, please review this and look at it, because when we get down the road, we're going to need to do something with this agreement. It's like listing a buyer. We list houses, we list buyers, and that's what that agreement is. And so the next time we go out, I would like you to consider working with me exclusively. And if you and I aren't getting along, I'll rip the thing up. That's what I want to do. I want to be your advocate, and you need to trust me, love me, and all those things. And so that's something that I do, is I just bring it to them and say, this is something that we're going to have to address. I don't do it. I don't say, here, sign here, because that's just too much pressure. I don't want to be that guy. I just want to look at this document, and then we'll talk about it next time. And they sign it without even reading the dumb thing. And that's not good, but they do, right? They're like, okay, I'll just sign it.
Oh man, I mean, we know how people work. It's kind of like watching someone at a closing table. It's like, boom, 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 boom. But it's important. Personally, I use the easy out buyer agreement because the way I was, back when I was in 2006, when I first got into real estate, Greg was still selling real estate back then, and my father, he had an additional thing called an easy out guarantee. And it was like a certificate. And it was this other thing that he just added into the mix. And it said, if at any time you are dissatisfied with my services, if you don't want to work with me, you don't like me, don't like the way that I smell, whatever it is, you can fire me.
Absolutely.
And we will part ways. And I have lived by that rule my entire career in real estate. I have been there. I've been here since 2006. I will tell you that I've had a couple people fire me and I've fired a couple of my clients over the years. And sometimes it stings, sometimes it hurts when someone was like, hey, we just weren't satisfied with you and I want to go elsewhere. While that's terrible and that feels horrible, I didn't want to press charges against them. I didn't want to sue them for a commission. I didn't want to like take them and make their lives miserable. I basically said, okay, what can I learn from this? How can I become a better realtor? How can I give them better service? Was anything they said true? Was anything that they said here? Should I sit here and should I self-reflect a little bit? You know, but sometimes we see agents wanting to pull this contract out and just and staple it to the client. And in some cases, if there's a really, really terrible, weird situation where someone just cuts you out of the transaction to save money, I can see making a fuss over that. But I'm here to encourage you to be a better realtor, to be a great realtor. And if you want to use the full-on buyer's agency agreement, go for it. But I've never felt as though by using the easy out agreement that I was being taken advantage of, that I lost business, that people fired me. That just wasn't happening to me. And I was never afraid of it, is all I'll say. So it's up to you how you want to go about it though. But I will tell you that 5-Star will not sue. If a buyer breaches a buyer's agency contract, we're not going to be launching lawsuits as a company based upon that buyer's agency agreement.
Good.
It just gets messy and gets really nasty and it's bad.
Easy out.
What's that?
I use the easy out.
The easy
And how
out.
often, Tracy, how often are people taking advantage of you and working the system? Zero. Because you build your business on trust. You build your business on those relationships, right?
That's right.
And if
All
they
your
want to get
business,
out, they can get out. I mean, there's not any one. I always say there's a lot of churches out there because people worship in different ways, and there's a lot of different real estate agents out there because we all have different personalities. So
Yep. Well, all right, guys, we went through the buyer book.
all right.
Do we know what we're doing
Sorry we
next?
kept you so late.
Do we know what we're doing next week?
We're doing seller books.
Seller book. Okay, this one's gonna be good. We might need to have a little extra time for that one too. All right, guys.
Yeah, 45
All right,
minutes. for
thanks,
sure.
guys. We'll talk to you later. See you guys. Adios.